Not at all the world's most pleasant morning this morning. Overcast and threatening rain, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for it. A little bit of wind as well, so not ideal flying conditions for small planes. Coming and going, and heavy clouds, so we really have to keep an eye out for incoming rain. I wanted to just try, this is the Zero, I did the AirCore ME109, this is the Zero. Now it's the same core, of course, that's the whole point. I've done my best to put it into this Zero properly and trim it out. It's a little fiddly to get the AirCore in right. Before we connect the battery, we want to connect the AnyLink to the trainer port of the DX9, so that will come up. And so now we've got a transmitter on, and then we put the battery in here, and we connect it, all being well. Fiddly connectors, good sound connector. Once it's connected, it's definitely connected, but yeah. Okay, so I've really tried to do my best to ensure that these control surfaces are trimmed and work properly, which is, like always a bit of an issue with this AirCore, because it's so easy to get the AirCore in. It doesn't snap in all that positively to a single position, and it's easy to get it in slightly off where it's supposed to be, which messes up where the control surfaces are. As I mentioned with the 109, I had the rudder control rod attaching by the little magnet there, was, as they do with the AirCore, was so sly to connection. It was making such a poor connection that it was popping off when you tried to operate the rudder. So I put a piece of tape on. Seems to be operating okay with this one. So maybe it's the magnet on the plane side rather than the AirCore side for that rudder. Bit nervous with this because these things are squirrely to fly, and there's a little bit of intermittent wind around. Not going to work if I don't. See, it drills off there pretty fast. And it's small. You don't want to see, and it's dark this morning. The plane is small, and it is dark this morning, so I do not want to let it get too far away from me. It's certainly flying better than the Messerschmitt was when I first brought the Messerschmitt up. Although, if anything, I'm going in the reverse from the Messerschmitt kept going up. This, if anything, is losing altitude when I don't want it to. I could do with a bit more altitude. The Messerschmitt, I literally had to force the stick down the whole time to fly it, otherwise he was just not flying at all. But these, flying something like this in darkish conditions, the Zero, just in general, the Zero, I think, was a very well-designed plane, especially in its original version. The first version they produced, the two, because the one never went into production. Later on, they added more armament and shortened the wings and things, which made it not fly so well, but they had to do that because of exigencies. But the first version was a very good flying plane, although doubtless not something really for an amateur pilot to fly. They towed the prototype out to the field with a buffalo cart to fly it, but anyway, I don't have a buffalo cart today, and this is certainly not a prototype, but
time remaining 3 minutes.
This thing still makes me nervous to fly. I do not feel comfortable flying this. It flies, but it's squirrely, it's a bit hard to see. But nothing seems to be, touch wood, I can't really touch wood now because I'm operating the controller, but Nothing seems to be actually going wrong with it, but famous last words. But the very first time I flew this guy, the propeller came right off it because of that weird propeller attachment they use. I almost stalled him there, I think. Keep him going pretty fast to avoid stalling him, which is kind of a bit annoying. I like planes you can fly slow at this. I don't like having to keep, whirring round all the time like this. I'd rather be able to fly slow, but you can't fly this guy very slow. He's just not meant for it. Well, he'll just stall. Oh, bugger, I felt a raindrop. Well, that's predictable. I mean, God, it's pretty overcast. We're not going to bring him in. Bring him in.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
Got to bring him in. Going to try, if I can, to land him in the long grass because it's all too easy. It's all too easy to break him if you land him in the short grass. His wheels and everything are just so fragile. I thought we'd get away. I thought I'd get away without rain, but I suppose that was a bit overly optimistic. Overly optimistic, what can I say? Trying to do too many things at once. That's really not going to work, is it? Oh, a few raindrops won't hurt the plane, I don't suppose. It's not like it's pouring with rain, but we're getting some raindrops. Yes, I know I should have taken the battery out of the plane first, but I don't think he's going to come to any great harm. And we'll see. It might just be a few drops passing, I don't really see much rain around, but I'm gonna duck in for now anyway. We'll see.